She is an industry seasoned business leader with a remarkable career spanning around 3 decades.
Chennai Airport water treatment plant renovation was my first project. Sometimes it had been defined by process, people, new technologies, and more to say, Sunny, these days I keep watching many OTT series. We will go back to some of our traditional industries which are overlooked today by the core blue-collar job owners.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I'm Sonali Bhattacharya, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. We have one such industry veteran on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Ms. Sonali Bhattacharya. As a global delivery leader, she has been instrumental in steering delivery leadership for prominent clients, ensuring consistent growth in delivery standards over the years. She adeptly leverages diversity to address critical challenges effectively, fostering an inclusive environment that promotes innovation and problem solving. Beyond her professional endeavors, she is a writer by passion, with fiction publications to her credit, an occasional microblogger, and actively engages in volunteer leadership roles. Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, Ms. Bhattacharya.
Thank you, Sunny. Thank you very much.
So to begin with, could you let our viewers know in brief about your career journey so far?
Sure, Sunny. Before I get started, I would really like to thank WCB and yourself, Sunny, for spending this time with us. So to kind of give you an idea about my almost 3 decades career, it started with an engineering consulting firm. I was recruited as a consultant, and they were specialized in power plants, and I was belonging to a department, if you have to call it, which was specialized in water treatment. Chennai Airport water treatment plant renovation was my first project. I recall it very fondly. So, not getting too deep into my engineering acumen, because I made a move from engineering to IT in the next 3 to 4 years. But one thing that I had picked up from that journey of around 4 years is every small little thing in professional life matters. My first supervisor, boss, as you may call, very fondly stated one day that, you write, your handwriting seems to be very good, and those days were not email days. I started writing on the company's pad, and I got acquainted to professional ways of communication. That was a very big learning, and a very small way of orienting somebody who is new in the industry about what is happening, who is who, what needs to be written, how it needs to be drafted. And there started my journey. I took a plunge into IT when the IT wave was catching up overall, and got into the sister wing of the same company and got exposed to banking world. My first program was around product development for banking softwares, to be precise. I started visiting banks where this banking software is supposed to be deployed. It was like facing the customer. Every day evening was really learning the product, getting to know the features, and of course, the technical acumen behind it, what is it and what needs to change. And the next day stand in front of customer to demonstrate things. There were very bad days too, but they were great learnings for me. As things continued, I made my next move to an IT telecom organization who were specialized in OSS and BSS. And I got my first international exposure through that organization. I got to see a few wonderful cities, but more than that, I got to see many organizations and enterprises and their global ways of work. It was a very big leap for me at that point of time in the journey. With all that experience over of 6-7 years, I joined an organization which is right now a very big IT MNC. But when I joined, it was $500 million organization. And I spent a quality time of my professional life with that organization and went up the ranks from a project leader to a project manager to a program manager, getting myself also equipped by giving various certifications that were available in the market to coach me to get there, both internally and externally. My responsibilities grew. I became P&L leader for travel and hospitality, components of my organization. It became a part of the larger retail and consumer good forum. So in almost 18 to 20 years of my service life, I got an exposure of many different industries with a predominant exposure in retail, consumer good, travel, hospitality, though I do carry the flavors of banking and telecom to start with. I also took a quick, I would say, drift, almost for 5 years in the same career journey to spend my time in an IP world within the same organization, which was a very interesting phase of my professional journey. It was submerged with technology. And as you imagine, today we keep speaking about AIs and ML. And that entire platform was around building an AIOPS platform. I was the engineering lead of that platform. And from nowhere, we built a very rock solid platform, which was industry acknowledged. I moved on after a long journey and a tenure in one organization, finally to the other, which is another, good organization, I would say, in Indian context. It's growing, and MNC with Indian background. And I'm again playing a role of a business leader, trying to expand few things globally. And this time, I guess I got another leap to this whole career graph where I got to see a massive change management, and I'm playing a big role in that change management, as you may see. So to me, if I really look back at the 30 years that is about to be completed in this journey, I presume it was more around various stories that evolved over time and my learning curve. And obviously, there were good and great projects, and some of them remained as learnings for me, Sunny.
Ms. Bhattacharya, thank you for the excellent start to this interview. And I must say, your career journey is truly inspiring.
Thank you, Sunny.
So, continuing our conversation, which of your roles and responsibilities have you enjoyed the most and why? That is part A of the question. And part B is, what are your biggest professional contributions in them?
Well, Sunny, all projects have some unique takeaways, and every role that I've played have left behind some mark in my career journey. But there have been occasions where I have left behind larger portfolios, programs to chase something from the scratch, whether it's a greenfield project or to create some kind of a delivery ecosystem that doesn't exist. There's no shape and form, and it had to be created. There were really, really remarkable journeys, if I have to call out, because they have etched real memories in my, I would say, career journey. Now, if you say, what was my contribution in these programs that I've remembered so fondly, there are two folds. During the course of this journey, I've also realized, Sunny, that transition is a very, very important phase of programs as you keep moving. Today, when I look back to some of these steady programs that I had given to some other able leaders when I have moved on to take a very new challenge, they come back, I go back with cherished memories. And that speaks volumes about, what's happening, or what happened at that point of time. I left behind the recipe for the success to continue. That's the first thing that I did. The second point of the story is I as an individual, enjoy starting certain things from scratch, giving a shape to ideas which people don't know how they will look when they are really created. Sometimes it had been defined by process, people, new technologies. Sometimes it is about really, really bringing people together, stitching the story together, connecting the dots. If I have to say what skills possibly I would have exposed in this process, it was predominantly my ability to really scout, if you call that as a network, and bring the dots together and help everybody visualize the stitched story. So this is what kept those stories or those unique project experiences etched out in my mind.
That sounds incredible. So, building on to that, I would like to ask you, what are some values and principles you have lived by in your professional life?
Well, Sunny, I think some are very ingrained, right? You don't really learn when you step into a professional world, but they come along with you as an individual. As an individual, I am very key to keep up to my commitments. If committed, I keep to my commitments. Of course, I don't go irrational about it, but I generally would like to stand by it and see that it is done. But as I grew in the professional ladder and many things happened, as you would have imagined, so many projects, programs, I certainly started valuing my team more than anything. In my most challenging moments, days, decision making, if you ask me whom did I bank on, I banked on my team. I've always walked up to them, and this is something I've valued, that their suggestions, their collective willpower, direction, even criticism at times, Sunny, had helped me to be extremely well grounded. And even if I had to pivot from one to the other place, it had helped me in the journey. So these are values that I really care for. And if you ask me about principles, I generally prefer to keep things very simple, even though it might come to my table in a very complex way, or sometimes very ambiguous way, if you ask me. I generally try to break it into simple problems so that it is easy to solve, easy to communicate. And there is a method to the madness of the big thing that I'm unable to visualize altogether. So this has been one of my guiding principles. I personally value fundamental ethics and corporate ethics to a great extent. So I not only abide, I am a little preachy about it at times. You know, it might sound a little odd here, there, but I ensure that we don't miss on that. And of course, have taken several decisions in my corporate life. One thing that I've stuck to, and which is again core to my value sense, and I have never missed it, is my integrity.
Rightly said, Ms. Bhattacharya. All right. So now that we have discussed your career journey, your professional pursuits, roles and responsibilities, your values, your principles and learnings, let's move ahead and let's discuss the subject of ESG and corporate governance. So here is my question to you, and a very obvious one. How and when did you develop an interest in ESG and corporate governance?
Well, Sunny, ESG is a very new word. I mean, new as in it's not a very, traditional word that people have been hearing when I joined professionally. I recollect somewhere around 2008, one of my directors, the organization that I worked for, they possibly knew that beyond work, I have some creative, experiments going. I love doing it. So this gentleman came and said that I have a request for you. If you have some time to volunteer, here is an autistic society in the city who really needs to create a creative video for some purpose. And if you are willing to kind of, do something about it, I would like you to take this forward. So this was just a request that came to my table, and I plunged into it. Of course, I didn't plunge alone. I was privileged to have a bunch of college freshers who had just joined the industry. They were bubbling with energy, assembled them. And together we created a video to the extent that we went for shooting, created many things, okay? And then, of course, at the end of it, we went and gave back to the institute. And as you can imagine from the name Autistic Institute, it has a very different, space altogether. It was a realization, Sunny. Okay, I realized that giving back to society is something very, very cherishing. It's something somewhere people should do it on their own. People shouldn't be really asked for it. And more than that, I figured out there is a byproduct to this, Sunny. In this whole journey, I figured out that I have become so pally with my team that I have not even become on my workflow. I figured out that it is a source of team bonding, even beyond the real work that we are doing for somebody else. And corporate hood gave a lot of governance. You will not fall in wrong traps. There are checks and balances. So there is nothing so beautiful to try out such things within the corporate banner. That was my start. As you know, those were called CSRs in those days. And then things started maturing. I started developing some acumen out there. subsequently started following annual reports of the companies, and I figured out there was a section getting carved out for this, and I understood how important this is becoming worldwide across enterprises. And I guess last 7, 8 years, it is ingrained in all corporates, mainstream. So everybody in the organization possibly is aware about it. And today's generation is fortunate that they get to see it on day zero of their corporate life. And obviously, a lot of communications that comes from our different organization bodies. I got educated. So that was on the social part of it and the environment part of it in the ESG bracket of the 3 pillars that we have. Governance was more natural, Sunny, because I have been taking care of teams. My responsibility moved from one level to the other. Governance became pretty obvious for me. And obviously, as my roles kept shifting, enhancing, the organizations became metric structure, interweaving, rules, regulations changing, and started joining a lot of D&I initiatives within the organizations, played some valuable roles in that. I got enriched with a lot of country laws, international laws, and more to say, Sunny, these days I keep watching many OTT series which are in and around that, which helps me even understand how the book and the real life meets, get myself more prepared to things which possibly have not hit, but maybe someday. So that's how ESG has become a part of my life.
Amazing, amazing. All right. So, as a leader who has played different governance roles, what values do you bring to the table?
So, Sunny, let me put it this way. Firstly, value, I think, is always a perceived value. Value alone doesn't make any difference to anyone. And in our corporate world, to me, there are predominantly 4 communities. If you look at it, you have a team, you have set of peers and partners, and then you would have your seniors, and then somewhere your customer would be around. Now, Sunny, I think these communities would be the best judge to tell you about me and the value that I bring to the table. But if I have to sit on their behalf and think, what would they have said if you would have asked them? Okay. I feel, and this is what I feel that I bring to the table, is I'm very approachable, Sunny, as an individual. I think I'm approachable by all the 4 communities that I spoke of. I give them a listening ear, and of course, they have different things to tell me. And I definitely try to do something about what I heard from them, which definitely is a problem statement. Obviously, if they are giving me some knowledge, know-how, I imbibe. But if I hear that there is something that they're looking for, I have an ear to understand or listen or calibrate what is happening, and there's something that I should be doing. This is the first thing that I bring to the table is what I feel, Sunny. And above and beyond that, I personally feel that I carry a unique sense of foreseeing things. Now, it's not that I've developed it. It has happened over years, various experiences, and I think that plays a role and helps me do so. Sometimes it is taxing also, Sunny, and this value becomes little overburdened because it kind of probes me to tell many things. But I've also learned in the course of time that there are real time when you should spill certain things. You cannot share everything just because you're thinking it can happen. However, I think that sense had helped me prepare myself for the worst many a times. So I have been able to play a good safety net many a times. So Sunny, I think, if I look back in nutshell, these are a few things that I believe I bring very uniquely to the table.
Absolutely, Ms. Bhattacharya. All right. So, since you are working so closely with IT, here is my next question to you, and viewers would like to really know that what are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with changes in technology? That is part A. And what changes do you expect to see with the advent of IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, digital twin, big data, Web 3.0, etc.?
Oh, that's the whole lot of it, Sunny. Yeah. So 30 years, of course, I've seen many things changing with the advent of technology. Okay, our work style has changed. What we expect from each other has changed. How we work has changed, and it will keep changing. But I think technology has definitely helped us become more predictable. It has also helped us to carve out certain times to do certain things which are little more than mundane. Okay, so there's a space for you to sit and think, which could be more forward-looking. It has also given you all the ammunitions from information to action, only if you will. If you don't will, then those information and actions have nothing to play. But if you really wish to do something with it, they are all at your fingertip. So it is up to us to use it in the right way, right time. But as a generation, I think technology has also helped us to become very resilient. We are moving from a absolute zero digital landscape to a, I'm not sure if I could call out 100% digital, but almost like, in different fields, we are getting into digital landscape. This wouldn't have been possible without technology. So I guess in every field, if you look at it, whether it's the industries that I spoke of, that I play a role, beyond that, even in academics, and very recently, the few years that we crossed, locked at home, and business still went on. I know some did suffer, but then we are trying to recoup. Even getting the data points very fast, acting on them, it wouldn't have been possible without the technology inventions and that had happened in the last few decades. Definitely not. And you did ask me what's ahead. Okay, so what do I see with the bunch of technologies that you spoke of? Yes, they are all real. They are no more like, forecasted technologies. People are working on each of these. They are right now interconnected also. So not many things are happening. As you see, they're connected stories, right? We spoke about ESG. Today, there are many programs who are baking in ESG metrics into projects. So you would see whether it's a restaurant who would have to save that oil, or in an office, you have to save your energy by saving, AC consumptions, or, for that matter, the entire electricity consumption that is happening in whatever shape and form. You can pick up anything, or you go down to real farm. You are having right now all the drones coming into play. They are also now getting integrated to many tools and technologies to ensure that we have right level of farming, less fertilizer, but right fertilizer. And there are ample, examples as you get to that point. However, whatever I'm saying is happening. I'm not a person who can forecast, but seeing the change for the last 3 decades and the speed in which the technology is changing, definitely can say that human is yet to cope up with the speed in which technology is changing. So that's something that I feel needs to be taken care of. And I'm sure civilization has always looked back to the major problem statement and have addressed. So I believe the change that I foresee, if I have to share with you, Sunny, and that's just me, I'm sure there are many viewpoints and I may be not absolutely correct. I see entertainment type of industries will become a very bread and butter in our daily life. If you look at a daily life of any individual, from a student to an elderly today, in any part of the world, you just cannot dissect entertainment out of a daily life. Entertainment was extra if you look at it. But today, with technology, with all the technologies that you spoke of, entertainment is at my disposal. Today, I'm just kind of looking at on the mobile screen. Tomorrow, it will be everywhere, on my wall, on my living room, in my kitchen. It's just going to be around me. So I think I foresee a time, I really don't know the time, but I foresee a time we are not living a world of only work. It's going to be work and entertainment together. I just can't define that because that's not real today. It might appear like a science fiction or very, very ambitious a dream. But Sunny, this is where I think in next 1 to 2 decades with these technologies and maybe more in the queue, you will see a very different way of life, not just work, but way of life. Students, their academic curriculum, what they study, why they study, and in what frequency they study. And we are lifelong students now, so studentship doesn't end. So all these will have reflection on policies also. So different type of governance constructs will come in, different policies will come in. With all this will come in lot of security situations which needs to be taken care of. And then, we should also have a governance for self. We shouldn't be lost because we have plenty. So there needs to be a mechanism to balance that, which I think today we are just in that floodgate, we just don't know about it. So in tomorrow's world, while this all happens, I am very optimistic that we will go back to some of our traditional industries which are overlooked today by the core blue collar job owners, which is more in the society, more in the villages, more in the core of the country. I believe there will be an impact there of technology, but I certainly believe how we live our lives will also change.
Absolutely, Ms. Bhattacharya. And thank you for sharing such amazing insights into different subjects. So this brings us to the last question of the session, and here it is. We are building a community of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. So what are your thoughts about these initiatives taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the team of World Development Corporation?
Yeah, so firstly, thanks once more to World Development Corporation. I mean, this whole show, this FaceTime with you, Sunny, thanks for it. And to Mr. Pathan and Mr. Mehta, I had been privileged to hear some of their sessions and also joining few more sessions which are conducted by some eminent industry magnates. I'm learning, to be very precise, Sunny, and it's so interesting that they have created a framework. Many a times we read so many newses in the newspaper, we follow them for a while, they dissolve. They are either boardroom stories or they are corporate stories. They come up with certain headlines, they come up as headlines rather, and then they dissolve after a while. Maybe they get dismissed or, it gets into the lower rung. I think these forums, these sessions, this framework, the contents that are shared in different, I would say, discussions, it is enlightening me as an individual who have been working in this corporate world for several years about so many good practices, about so many silly misses, so many good things that happened, so many not so good things happened, possibly may not be intentionally, but they happened. Okay. And it's an eye opener for me. And I certainly feel that this kind of forum enriches a lot of individuals like us who do spend, their entire career journey in multiple corporations doing their roles and rendering their responsibilities. But this is like coming back at a place, it's like a library of information and case studies that you get to see. Some that you might really feel, oh, I possibly understand. Some may be an absolute news thing for you and you learn from it. And I'm sure this learning will pay me off someday, as I still look forward to give back to this industry some more years in some capacity.
Great. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you, Ms. Sonali Bhattacharya, for joining us today. We wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute has unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunny.
Thank you. Have a nice day.